Hi and welcome to day 2 of Roxy's Christmas Stitchery. I think that's what we called it. So the next prompt, or the next sort of theme that we're doing for our Christmas decorations, is a Christmas tree. Pretty simple. I just got an index card and folded it in half, and just like Rach did with hers, I'm going to make a template. So I'm going to see what 4.5 inches looks like. So I'm going to draw a line across it, and then from the open side, this side, draw a line from the corner to the top. Let's see what this looks like. See if it looks okay. I can always adjust it if I don't like it. Alright, so we've got our triangle, and now we just cut along it. So my Christmas trees are, I've seen a lot of different versions of these things on Pinterest, etc. But very much I'm having a mental blank. It's I'm going to link it down the bottom because she has a tutorial on this. It's a I'm going to get you her name in a minute because I've had a mental blank. But I'm going to link it at the bottom. She makes them, and she has a free tutorial where she makes them out of old pieces of quilt. So I'm inspired by her. Anne Wood. That's who I'm trying to think of. Anne Wood. Love hers. So I'm inspired by her. I'm actually going to just slightly change the angle of this. Draw a little line. I think I like this one a bit better. Yeah, so she has a free tutorial on how to make her scrappy quilt ones, like with old pieces of quilt. So I'll link that at the bottom. She has a lot of free tutorials. She's very generous in sharing lots of fun free things. So I'm inspired by her, but I'm kind of just making a version that I want to make. So I've got some old bits of fabric that I had dyed for our Down the Garden Path project, and I'm thinking I'm going to use this as my background. It needs an iron. I can't find my craft iron. I don't want to get the big one out. I'm being lazy, but anyway, let's see how we go. So I need two sides. I don't think is that going to be wide enough? No, I'm going to have to go this way. I think I'll line it later. So I need to fold a little bit further. And I will cut out two pieces, and in between I've just got some old wadding, and I'm going to cut that out as well. So let's put, you know what, I'm going to go iron it and I'll come back. I know it's a pain. I've got to get the big iron out. I'm going to go iron it. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so there we go. Now it's a bit better. See, okay. So I've cut an old piece of wadding roughly to the size that I need. I will put it on the fabric, and just what I'll do is I'm going to fold it over to approximately the size that I need, and I'll just put a pin through, maybe a couple of pins through it. Okay, one, and I'm going to do like what Rach did with her heart, which I'm not doing any machine sewing on these things. It's all going to be hand stitched. So I can either draw my template onto my wadding side, or it's probably easier for me to draw it on my material side. So I'm just feeling it to make sure the wadding is covered. And you're not going to see the lines, so it doesn't matter what I draw it in. This is just a biro. So just tracing my tree. Okay, on all sides. Okay, so there's my triangle. And Now I'm going to just move my pin so I don't cut through them. I'll go this way. And let's put this one on this side. Just double checking. That looks good. Now I might use these scissors. They're a bit bigger, maybe a bit better. I'm going to cut out my tree. Okay, right onto the line. No seam allowance. We're not sewing this on the machine. Hand sewing it together. Now I don't know what I'm going to use for my little trunk at the bottom. Not sure yet. We'll work that out soon. Okay. So one will be my back, one will be my front, and eventually, just to give it some padding, it's going to go with the wadding in between. Okay, so when I sew, I can do a running stitch or I can do a blanket stitch. I could bead on the edge like Rach. Could potentially put a trim around the outside and couch it down to cover that wide up, but by the time you stitch it and sandwich it, you're not going to see much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, this is B for the back side, so I know I'm not going to stitch on that side. So let me double check so that I know they line up. So that's the inside, the back. It's going to go in the middle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to embellish my trees. I'm actually going to do both sides because on your Christmas tree, it may spin around. So I've got a collection of little bits of trims and laces and things like that. Might put a bit of the cheesecloth. So for example, I might stitch that in different spots. I liked this one. This is an old trim. I don't know where I got it. Did I get it from you, Rach? I don't know. I got it from someone. Which I'm thinking of stitching across the bottom of one of the sides. And then all I want to do is I'm going to stitch things down. So I have a little bit of rickrack. So you've probably seen people do things like this. Might hang that one off the bottom on that one. So I'm just going to layer up some trims and things and stitch them down. Mostly it's going to be couching. Like a bit of this pink stuff. So I'm not necessarily going fully red and green. I've got some pink here. I've got some aqua. I've got some darker blue. I think that one might go that way, look better. It doesn't matter, we'll work it out. So I wanted a little bit of the red rickrack, red and pink. Have a longer bit of that. Might put this one, could even go on top there. I love this. I've only ever found one of these. It is a fabric tape measure and I have been using bits and pieces for a long time and I've only got a little bit left. So let's put some on my Christmas decoration. These are cute, they're little hearts. And then this is going to be super simple. I'm just going to be couching everything down. This trim I tea-dyed, which I think made it look better, made it look old. I'm going to put a bit in here. So many years ago, Rach and I did a Christmas table runner for Homespun magazine in Australia for Christmas, one of our Christmas projects. And this is a similar concept to some of what we did on the table runner. We laid things over it and then stitched them down. Mum, did that come from you originally? Probably. Mum will tell us. She'll always say, that was my idea. So, our friend Zoe won't be watching from Green Door Studio in Southern Highlands, where we'll be teaching next year, but Zoe told me it takes Mum all of 3.3 seconds to tell you if something was her idea. Sorry, Mum. Funny. Sorry. So a bit of chenille. Oh, I was going to put this on. I dyed. This was one of the ones I dyed. I quite like that. Let me see where I can fit it in. Move these all up. It's probably good to get this one a little bit further away from that one because they're similar. And I'm going to cut down on some of the red because it's too wide. Now, will this rip properly? Maybe not. Might snip it. Just cutting away red because there's too much. And you could always use that scrap. Like you'd sew that down if you want to. Put a bit of red there. So these are super simple. They won't take too long to make. Could even have a bit of fun with kids making these. So once you feel like you've got some good bits and pieces, you could definitely pin it all down. I was going to use a bit of this. So this one is a double-sided, and that could go there. Might stick over a bit. And then I've got all these little goodies. Oh, here comes my cat. Something's given her a fright. I've got all these little goodies. I made little embellishment packs when I made some fabric packs for our Christmas stitchery thing, and I had one left, or I might have a couple left. So I might even add on some little bits of bling. Feeling like that's the wrong colour. Need to go a bit more red and green. So yeah, I might add some little bits of bling. That's good. Let's go with that. Little bit that I dyed as well. And I feel like I need something green there. Okay, I'm going to have a look. And then we'll stitch them down. I'll get them pinned in a sec, and then I'll have a cord and I'll have a little stem as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the camera and just pin these down. I might even want to add some buttons in. I think I will add buttons and things. So I'll pin them down. I'll come back and show you them pinned, and then I'll start some of the stitching. Then I'll probably turn it off, do some more stitching, come back and show you how I will construct it. Okay, so I'll see you soon. All right, I was going to pin, but it was getting a bit awkward, so I'm just going to stitch straight down. I've got a red metallic thread, so it kind of blends in with these sequins, and I'm just going to come up through the hole and then down to the edge. This one comes a bit loose, but we'll do some more stitches to keep it in place. So I've got one stitch in. I think I'll do 3 just to hold them in place. They're strung together like this, but I could actually stitch them down individually if I wanted to. But I'm just trying to keep them together because they're already strung like that. So I'm doing 3 stitches. Can't even, I'm so close to the edge, I'm just going to come around it. Okay, that first one will hold, that's fine. Okay, actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to come up through this one again, and I'm going to go down and hold that one in place, And then what we can do actually, we do it like a back stitch. So come up, find the hole. Hole can be hard to find sometimes. Come up and down. Yeah, like it's a back stitch. That'll work. You can see a bit of thread on the sequins, but it doesn't really matter. You're not going to come up super close and study the decoration on the tree, are you? Till we get to the last one. And on the last one, I'll stitch it a few times, like the first one. Where's my little scissors? Get those extra threads cut away. Whoops, I was cutting the edge of the sequin. Okay, I'll just do a few more stitches. Trying to get these through. Okay, one more. And I think that that will hold. Okay, that will hold. Okay, so there's my first line of things. Now I'm just wondering if I want to stitch anything else down with the metallic thread. I'll just take it off for the moment. I can always rethread it if I want to use it. So my next thing is going to be some green rickrack. Can trim it down if it's a bit long later. So I think I'll start with just that green is similar. This green is a rayon thread. It's a similar colour. Sorry, just trying to thread my needle. It's got a very tiny eye here, this one. Now you could couch down with a contrasting thread on the rickrack to make it a feature. You could also do French knots along it, which is what I'm thinking of doing, but I want to stitch it down first. Just little stitches that you won't really notice, and then I think I might come and do some French knots. So at each sort of rise and fall dip in the rickrack, I'm just doing a really tiny stitch. You could do these lots of colours, like what colour's your Christmas tree? Like some people like just gold and green or white and green. Some people just go for the traditional Christmas colours of red and green and maybe gold. Mine is a rainbow. So we have a white tree. I don't know if I've told you that before, probably. And I think I told you that Mum thinks it's tacky because it's white. But because my decorations are so colourful, it actually looks good on the white tree because the colours pop rather than sort of blending it a bit more with a green tree. So I am doing these ones fairly traditional Christmas colours, but I may do some more in other colours as well. And you could do them in all different fabrics. You could do neutral ones. You could do ones that were white and cream, vintagey kind of looking. Totally up to you. Okay, so let's just get these all down first and then I'll decide if I'm going to embellish any further. So with these, I'm just going to let them run off the side because I'll trim them later. So for this one, we'll just use a normal old vintage cotton. It's kind of a creamy white cotton. You'll see it a little bit because this is tea dyed, but it won't be too bad. Don't you hate it when you actually thread the needle first time and then you just accidentally pull it out? I just did that. It's annoying. I can't use a needle threader on this needle because it is small. It's too tiny for that. Alright, so just little stitches as normal. Over the edge, just like an overcast stitch. Well, that one, the knot came through, so it didn't work. Let's try that again. Whoops, I've hooked onto my other trims. Trying to just visually keep this one straight. So did you like Rachel's first ornament? I thought they looked fantastic. I didn't expect her to do them exactly like that, like with the velvet, but I really like what she did. It kind of reminds me of sort of old Christmas decorations. I really like the velvet. I'd have to have a look and see if I've got some velvet and make some. So yeah, a few people said they missed the announcement of the project. It was actually in our last two Roxy's Journal of Stitchery videos. Rachel mentioned it towards the end. I mentioned it a little bit closer towards the start. That's when we announced the project. This is not a big one. It's not a volume like we've been doing. It's just a mini fun project before Christmas. So I guess that's why we didn't announce it as a single standalone video. Because the idea is that these don't take you too long. They're just something fun. You can make some decorations to give to friends or put on your own tree or family, whatever you want. So it's just the 12 days with Rach posting 6 days on the odd days, and then I'm posting 6 days on the even days. She starts on the 1st and I'll finish on the 12th. So all our prompts, as we've said, are going to be different. All our sort of base ideas are going to be different, except the last one. We are both going to do our own version of the same prompt, which will be a bigger thing. It's a bigger thing. It's not going to go on the tree. Sorry, can you hear that heavy breathing? It's my son. He's got a bit of a cold. He sounds like Darth Vader. He's got earphones on. He's not listening. He's playing his Xbox. That's what you get to do when you finish school. We've got his speech day. We have that at the Sydney Opera House this week. And we have that at the Opera House every year. I'm sure most people would know what that looks like. And then we've also got his formal, and the formal for my son's school, which is the school I work at, the parents go as well. So Jamie's dad and I are both going to that. Okay, let's couch this down. Now I'm going to use a contrasting thread for this one. I'm thinking I might use something with a bit of sparkle in it. I'm going to use this blue, which is a Razzle Dazzle. I think they're Suspargo threads. I have a few colours in this just for a bit of fun. I actually once upon a time did a block of the month. Well, I say did, I haven't actually finished making it. In fact, I've barely started, but I do have the full thing packed up in a box all together for when maybe one day I do decide to do it. It was her Folk Tales one, which I think that's what it was called. Was it called Folk Tales? It's the one where she does all the African animals and things like that because she's from South Africa. And originally my idea was that I'd make it for my son when he was little, and now he's not so little. But long story short, you get a lot of threads, a lot of Sue threads when you get a block of the month from her. You get the kits. So I do have quite a few good threads and stuff, wool threads, sparkle threads, etc. So just trying to get this straight. Couching stitch is just straight over the top. And again, I will trim off the tail at the end. So I'm just eyeballing it, trying to keep it the same distance away from the edge of the other trim. Okay, you can couch down closer or further away if you like, depending on what look you like. So when I come up this way, I actually roll the thread down a bit with my thumb just to give myself space, and then I try to roll it back so I can see where I came up and keep my stitches straight. Otherwise, I'll show you. So I roll it away a little bit. If I don't roll it back, sometimes I might go like this and I think it's there, and you end up getting your stitch on a bit of an angle. So this is just one way I try to keep it straight. Almost at the end. Okay, so couch down. Run my thread under a little bit at the back to finish it off. Now we'll see how we go if I get this fully made up. Hopefully I get one done. It's going to take a while. I'm going to go out to dinner soon at my dad's. So I may have to chuff off over to dad's for dinner and then come back and finish. But I'll try and get a little bit more done on just this first one, and then the other one I could finish later. And after dinner I might come back and put it together. So next I think I was going to put this bit of the green underneath, layer it up a little bit. So from this point on I'm going to speed up my video until I get towards the end where you'll actually see how I put this together, and I'll explain some things. If you don't want to watch, you can always skip over this part and come back at the end to see what it looks like. this is my front done. I decided to put Santa up there. Added my bells on the bottom, and I added a piece. I just folded over a piece of, it's hand-dyed sort of cotton ribbon, like this. Just folded it over because I like the colour of the blue. I thought it went nicely with my tree. And now what I'm going to do for my back, I've just pinned down some scraps of green, and I'm thinking I'm just going to cantha stitch. Okay, so the other thing I've done is with my piece of wadding, I have trimmed it down a little bit on each side so that it just fits inside the tree. In fact, I might even just take a tiny bit more off. So I just take a slither off the side like this, so that when I sandwich them together and I stitch, the padding's in there, but you won't end up seeing it. Okay, so let's get cantha stitching. This is just pinned down with lots of different pins. And at the top, I'm thinking that this baker's twine will be my hanging thing. Okay, so I've got this lovely Wonderful Perle cotton thread in a variegated green. There's some lovely shades of green, and that is what I'm going to use for my cantha stitching. Just grabbing a needle, threading it up. I'm going to run it straight down the middle to begin with. Whoops, didn't do my knot right. Let's do it again. Run the thread down the needle, wrap it around a few times, and then you pull that all the way to the end. I kind of keep my fingers in it so the knot doesn't get tangled until you get to the end. And there's your little knot. Okay, so I am doing a running stitch, cantha stitching. I'm going to start, it's hard to get the top peak because it's such a fine point and there's only a little bit of fabric there, but I've brought my knot just a little bit down so that I can sandwich it easily between my 3 layers. And then I'm going backwards before I go forwards just to get that stitch up the top. And, whoops. So there's my first stitch. And then it's really simple. You just do your running stitch. Alright, so as I go, I can take pins out because it's been held in place by the thread. So I'm just going to keep these pins in place for a little bit longer, and then I'll pull them out. Come out now. Just coming straight over the lace as well. Whoops, just going to watch that point there. Okay, so I've gone down to the bottom, and now I'm going to come up. All right, I'm going to pop the camera off while I keep doing my running stitch, and I'll come back on and show you when I'm done. And we are ready to start stitching. So I've basically wedged my pieces together. That's my back piece. And all I'm going to do, I've already brought my thread up. That needs to go right up through the middle. Is I'm just going to whip stitch it. I'm using the thin rayon green because it will sort of blend in a way. Just as you're doing it, even turning it to the side. Sorry, let me focus. So you can see if you're getting, you need to get the front and the back layer. Trying to get, tuck any threads in like that. And I'm just going to, I've got a very long piece of thread here. Whip stitch the whole way around. At the moment I'm just holding my charm off to the side. Eventually I'll flip it to the other side so it doesn't get in the way as I'm stitching. So I'm just tucking the hanging cord in. All right, I will keep stitching all the way around this. I'll come back and show you. All right, so here we are done. I've left my, I've left my thread in. Where is it? Just here. So I can show you what you do to finish off. So all I do is just run it under some of the other stitches. Do it a couple of times. You can pull it through there and snip. That will not come undone. So there is my Christmas tree decoration. Okay, on the back. One thing I thought, hang on, I'm just trying to find what I'm looking for. Just looking for some baker's twine. I have some here. If you don't like the messy edge, I mean, you could do it with anything. For example, you could use wool, and you could actually couch it down around the edge if you want to neaten it up. But for me, I don't mind that at all. That will hang on my tree as is. The only other thing I thought I might do, if I can find some big beads, I might string a couple of beads there. Or the other thing you could do, just trying to find a thread, for example, get a thread like this, do a knot, pull it through. I might do this actually, I'll show you what I'm thinking. So just tie a knot. I want to try and sandwich it in there and come out up here. There we go, I've tugged it. You can't see it now, it's gone in. And what you could do is wrap your threads just a little bit to hold them together, neaten it up. So we go wrapping a bit more. You could change colours if you want to. down just to thicken it up a little bit more. So I've wrapped up, now I'm wrapping down. See, that's a little bit open. It's frayed and my stitches haven't held it. I'm gonna have to fix that. I don't want that flying open or tearing. I might even come over that just a little bit. What you can do is you come under and then through there. Right down at the bottom. Okay, and then it's tight, but feed it up through and then I'll cut it. All right. Kind of finishes off the point of your tree. All right, I'm just gonna fix that little gap there. I need to stitch a bit further in because the edge is so frayed it hasn't got hold of it. So I'll get my thread one more time. Okay, it's kind of separated just here, so I'm just going to bring that in, bring my knot into the middle. And just coming a bit further on so I make sure that I've caught the edge. So all I did with the top, that will hang down there, I just went up and down a bit over the blue and white baker's twine to make sure it's held in securely. And if you want to make sure you're really, what am I hooked on? Oh, over there. If you want to make sure you're really secure, you could go around it twice by hand. Just going a little bit further and then I'll thread my needle through. All right, I think that's good now. Just thread it through and we'll snip it. Okay. So there we go. There is my Christmas tree decoration. All right, thank you for watching, and I will see you again in a couple of days for my next decoration. Talk to you soon. Bye.